Well, I take this time to tell you that I'm glad that I'm part of this section about body. This is a joint work with Caterina Leucci and Livia Ortensi. It is about childbirth experience, how childbirth experience affects fertility trajectories. Well, childbirth experience can be traumatic, and other disciplines that tell us that women might tend to protect their health and well-being, whether their childbirth is traumatic, and that there can be a decrease in subjective well-being that may lower fecundity and increase the chances of subsequent miscarriages and stillbirths. We ask whether these aspects can have consequences in terms of fertility trajectories. We want to explore the relationship between traumatic childbirth and fertility trajectories, address the gap in the literature, in the demographic literature, on women's bodily experiences during childbirth, and to consider childbirth as an experience instead of only as an event. We use a sample of women, Italian mothers, aged 25, between 25 and 45, and we answer 3 research questions. The first is, does traumatic first childbirth shape the transition to a second child and fertility intentions? In our sample, 43% of the respondents tell us that their first childbirth was moderately or highly traumatic, and we found evidences of a decrease in both fertility intentions and second child within 3 years from the first, if they experienced it, if they declared a moderate or high traumatic childbirth. Then the second question, research question, is which bodily experiences are connected with the definition of childbirth as traumatic? We have a scale of 25 items, of 25 episodes that can happen before, during, and after the childbirth. And we found that some episodes, as immobilization, inadequate pain management, pain caused by forcing breastfeeding, increased trauma perception. We use a factor analysis, and we identified 3 dimensions corresponding to episodes in diverse phases of the delivery, and we demonstrated that they are all related to high trauma. Basically, we attributed a score between 0 and 1 to each mother for each of the dimensions, and we found that an increase in each of the dimensions corresponds to an increase in the reporting of childbirth as traumatic. Finally, the third research question relates to traumatic childbirth experience related to bodily factors that shape fertility trajectories. We first calculated the predicted probabilities of trauma attributed to childbirth experiences. These predictive values are then incorporated as key regressors in the subsequent second stage regression analysis. And we found basically that traumatic childbirth do explain, so the effect of trauma explained by delivery experiences is associated with a reduction in fertility intentions. So to conclude, our main results are that traumatic deliveries are associated with reduced fertility. Trajectories, trauma can occur at all phases, before, during, and after the delivery, including the early breastfeeding, which are the dimension, which are the dimensions we found in our analysis. Okay, this one. Some experiences are strongly associated with the perception of childbirth as traumatic, and the trauma due to body experiences reduces fertility intentions. The take-home message from this presentation is that women's bodily experiences during childbirth are relevant in shaping fertility trajectories, and that a gendered perspective in demographic research should include women's physical and mental well-being during and after childbirth, which is often underevaluated in our research. And since this conference has had a strong policy, also policy orientation, we think that healthcare policies should address potential sources of trauma as a central factor in fertility trajectories. Thank you.